In this video, we will be talking about the third stage of our kindergarten interventions, which is the letter name and sound formation interventions with the 95% phonemic awareness lessons, the PAL lessons. So in this video, we're going from the Jumpstart intervention and doing the same thing that was done in the Jumpstart, but we're going to add something to the middle of that lesson, and that is the 95% phonological awareness lessons, or we call them the PAL lessons or the PAL lessons. They're found in this book right here, and these are some of the materials you'll need to do these lessons. Now, the skills that are here at the top are the ones that we assess and are taught in kindergarten. We do not do the other lessons and we don't assess them. Now, the skills at the bottom are the ones that are only assessed in first grade for intervention, and we do not teach or assess the other skills. Now, skills 1 and 2 can be done at the first of the year, but that's usually in whole group lessons unless needed for intervention. Now, these lessons are set up to be very I do, we do, you do. They're also very scripted, so they're easy to follow, and they'll tell you exactly what to do. Now, at the top of every lesson, you'll see the exact materials you need, and then you'll also see the objective written right underneath it, so you'll know what you're trying to accomplish with the students. You will need a little time every day to look over the lesson and get out the materials before your students come to reading club. Do not try to be doing this while they are right there, or you're going to lose the students and you're going to lose time. Now, each lesson is one phonemic skill. So after you teach one lesson, you really can't go on to the next lesson because that's a different skill, and we're not for sure they have the skill we just taught them. So we have to do something to say, can they apply this skill? And so to see if they can apply this skill that we just taught them, day one we'll teach the lesson, but the next day, we're going to be teaching them a game. And the games can be found again in our red binder. Now, these games can be done with lots of variation, and they should be so they don't get monotonous. You can have them with all players working together on one team, or you can have people playing as individuals. You can also vary the game pieces. The importance is to keep it simple. We do not want children spending their intervention time learning a game. We want to have them spend getting lots of repetition and learning the skills. So these games are meant to be very simple. We don't want them learning a whole new game. So let's go through a couple of the games and the instructions that can be found, again, in the binder. Okay, so to play the games, you will need to use the lesson found in the PALs. So let's go through one. So let's say that you just taught skill 5.11 the first day, and the objective is to help children use pairs of words where substituting one sound to create a new word, okay? So the same questions you asked when giving this lesson are going to be the same questions you're going to ask in the game the next day, except now you're going to be using the words that you find in this word list. So when you're doing the game, you need to open up your lesson to this word list so you can have those at your hand. Okay, so the first game we're going to look at is called Stack 'em Up. And it says this: the teacher asks a question and when a team or a person answers correctly, a game piece is placed as the first piece of the stack. With each question and correct answer, another game piece is put on the stack. Winning occurs when a person or team, however you want to do it, has the highest stack. Now, if the stack falls over, the player or team must start again. So when you're actually playing this game, you can use different game pieces. It changes the whole game when you have a different game pieces. And children love, especially if you have holiday pieces, it seems like. Now, these same game pieces can be used to play another game called Get the Goal. And in this game, the teacher will ask a question again related to whatever skill you taught the day before or that you're working on. And when a team or person answers correctly, a game piece is placed on the starting line. So it could look like this. There's a starting line paper that's in your packet, but you could also use something like this too. And so as they answer one, they get to move towards the finish line. You can do this as a group or as individual pieces. Now, these games are so simple that they are meant to go fast. So children won't be misbehaving, and also so they get lots of repetition and practicing that phonemic skill. There are a couple other games that you can read about, but let's talk about one last thing that's not actually a game, but it's more of a coloring activity. And so in your red binder, you'll find these coloring pages. On the back of these coloring pages, you'll find the instruction, and you'll also find the lesson that it goes to. For example, this is the one that goes to the 5-point lesson. You just need to read the directions on the back. As the child answers the question, for example, mat, change the to a ha, hat. Yay! Let's see if we can find that on our picture, and let's color it. So you will need one copy of this picture per child. And they don't need the instructions, just you need the instructions to do this game. Okay, so let's review. On the first day, we do the skill lesson from the book. On the second day, we play a game to see if they can remember and we can apply what we have taught them. So what do we do on the third day? Well, on the third day, you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to decide, well, how well did the children play that game? Did they play it but they were kind of stuck? Or were they playing it fluently and they could easily get it? If they could easily get it, then your decision is going to be this. You're going to go on back to the PAL lessons and teach a new skill. But it might actually probably be this. They still need some more practice. So we're going to play another game. You can play the same game and vary it a little, or you can play a different game. But you might have to play games multiple days until they get the skill. Now, if they're still not getting the skill, it might need to be that you go back and teach the lesson again and use the chips, use the cards to make sure they have that skill. We're going to be depending on what they need. Now, another option you could do is you could use your magnetic letter boards. And you could actually use the letters as scaffolding to help them with that phonological skill. So example, say you're changing one letter to make a different word. A magnetic board would be great, and they can actually do the letter. Eventually, you do have to scaffold them away from using letters, because when we use letters, that's actually phonics. When we can do it in our head, that's phonemic awareness, and that's what we want. But it's okay when, especially just using a one-letter flip or substituting where we're playing with one letter, to use the letters. If you're using a whole thing like as a syllable or an onset and rhyme concept, I probably wouldn't be using the magnetic letter boards. Okay, if you have any questions or concerns about this, please talk to another kindergarten teacher or an instructional coach. We would love to help.